Welcome! During a faucet upgrade and replacement, I had to deal with these shutoff valves that have integrated supply hoses that are non-separable units. They develop rusted crimp connections and have weaker hoses that can potentially leak or burst over time, and mine were long overdue for replacement. I'm going to show you how to work with CPVC pipe, including a unique way to use a piece of coupling to help cut out the old shutoff valves. We'll quickly go through all the steps how to fabricate it. It's super easy and well worth the effort. You won't want to miss how it helped me keep my cut straighter. We'll also go over other important considerations so you can make the best decision for your project. Then I'll show you all the steps to upgrade to a high quality angle stop / shutoff valves with quarter turn ball valves and durable braided engineered polymer supply lines. I even ran into a situation where the sink waste piping forced me to use a completely different process and set of tools to make the change. So whether you're here to learn how to install, replace, or upgrade a CPVC shutoff valve, or just want to see a cool DIY project, keep watching and let's go. So my wife wanted to upgrade our bathroom faucets to a high arc spout to provide more washing space. She wanted a bolder matte black finish to add a touch of sophistication, but almost every DIY project is a rabbit hole of additional upgrades. I've been waiting for this faucet upgrade, wanting to replace these shutoff valves that have integrated supply hoses. This one has developed a rusted crimp connection, and the second one is fine here, but at the faucet connection it's in bad shape. The shutoffs under my sink are even worse. They look like they're ready to start leaking or even burst. Hey, that rhymed. Just look at how rusted that connection is, so make sure you take a look around your house and inspect yours. The other reason it's time for a faucet upgrade was the faucet handle needed a new cartridge and a rebuild. See how it only half opens? I have emailed Moen in the past and they have mailed me for free replacement handles and cartridges, but my wife just decided it was time for a change, so I didn't bother doing that again. Let me show you the other issue with these 21-year-old water shutoffs. Look how hard they are to operate. The cold side is not that bad yet. It's hard to turn but doable, but the hot side is really hard to turn and shut. Doing this is putting a lot of pressure on the CPVC pipe, so be really careful if you have the same setup of old valves on CPVC. As you get closer to it being closed, be mindful, make small turns and back off if it's taking too much force. You can see the valve flexing. Now check this out, after carefully doing all that, you see how there's still a drip? This is what you can try. You brace the valve by the hose with one hand and give the handle a few small turns. Again, be mindful how much and if it's turning a bit more or not. You see the drip stopped with that last turn. Now even my faucet handle is broken and over rotates, which is annoying because I have to be careful I leave it in the middle to turn it off. Yeah, we're tired of all this. Okay, I leave the water running and head outside to shut the water off to the whole house. Always take the time to find where your whole house shutoff is located when moving in. Mine is at the first hose bib nearest to the street. Okay, now that I see the faucet I left the water running is off, I have the confidence to start the shutoff valve changeout. I'm not going to spend too much time with the removal of the water supply lines to the faucet shanks. This was a battle because of the corrosion, but I filmed the faucet removal and installation as a separate video if you want to see all the steps how to do this. I'll put a link in the description and at the end of this video. But in that video, I used two different tools to unscrew this nut. One with this Milwaukee faucet swap out wrench. The other you saw first is a basin wrench. Okay, back to the shutoff removal. Now make sure you have something to catch the water. I'm using a flat tray and plastic bowl. I start by cutting the integrated supply hoses since they're not separable. Even if they were, as you saw how hard it was to shut the water off, I would be replacing the water shutoffs anyway. I'm using a ratcheting PVC cutter. It works great for cutting hoses too. Okay, now that we have the hoses removed, let me explain how I use a piece of a coupling to help me make a straighter cut. Then next, I'll walk you through how to fabricate this. But I use it to match the diameter measurement of the shutoff. See how a coupling is the same outside diameter? The reason why this helps make the cut is because it allows the jaw to sit even when trying to make a close cut to the shutoff. I cut the coupling just off center and discard the piece that had the center ridge. It's the other side you want because you need it to clip onto the pipe. Let's go modify it. I put in my vise and I make my first cut. Then I mark it slightly off center with my Sharpie. You're not cutting it in half because then it wouldn't clip on. Next, I make the second cut right on that mark. Now check out how by cutting it slightly larger than half, it will clip onto the pipe and not fall off. This is how you want it. Now when I make my cut close to the shutoff, it won't be cutting at an angle. Watch what happens when you don't use a piece of a coupling. It starts to cut on an angle because half the jaw is on the shutoff and the other half's on the smaller diameter CPVC pipe. Let me know if you know a way to prevent this. Now watch me do this. Can anybody spot the one misstep I'm missing? Because I have the tripod and camera set up for an overhead shot, I'm forgetting to do one important thing. The tripod is in my way and I'm reaching around it, but I still make a clean cut despite missing that step. It's normal for some water to come out, that's why you have to have a bucket or bowl to catch it. When I make my next cut, I'll explain that step I'm missing. So I go ahead and dry up any water that missed my bowl and tray. You don't want it to sit long in your cabinet. When I pull my coupling piece off, more water comes out. I'll show you something soon to lessen that. So with it clipped onto the next pipe, I get ready for my next cut. The step I'm forgetting is to hold onto the handle of the shutoff with my other hand. That helps it stay straight as the blade cuts the pipe. See how it turns slightly? So this cut is not as straight, but we'll clean it up. Now before it soaks in, I wipe up the water that keeps missing my bucket and tray. Let me show you what I'm going to use to prep the pipe for cementing. We're going to use this inner-outer reamer. It's expensive, but it works really good, and I'm planning on changing out all my house's shutoffs because of those rusty crimped connections. So you just work it back and forth until you feel the outer edge smooth out. It's called chamfering. Then you flip it the other way and it has a cone in the middle, and that cleans up the inner part of the pipe. It's called deburring. When I start the next one, water comes out of the pipe, so I stop to dry it out. I roll up a corner of a piece of paper towel and stick it in there, and clean and dry both of them out. Just keep repeating this until you like how they look. This allows better cement flow, full insertion into the fittings, and ensuring a strong seal. Without reaming, the cement gets pushed forward instead of bonding the surfaces. Okay, looking good, they're ready for cementing. Now at this point, you have to decide if you're going to extend the pipe. Let me pull off the flange so I can show you some options. You can see the drywall of the wall and how the cabinet installer almost misaligned their hole. You can see on this right side, the next shutoff valve replacement, there's enough pipe to add a coupling first, then more pipe. But on the left side, it's going to be close. The pipe is shorter, so you have to decide now if you want to add a coupling and extend the pipe before installing the shutoff. I decided 20-30 years from now or before, it'll probably be extended during a cabinet remodel. Oh, something I could have done but I forgot? I should have shut the faucets off to my sink and bathtub after I turned the water off to the whole house and it drained. Less water would have come out of the pipe as I was working on it if I did. But I luckily remembered before I started cementing the new shutoffs. I next put a paper towel down in case I drip any cement, and we're ready to install them. Now in the plumbing aisle, this is what you're looking for. They say CPVC solvent weld connection in brown. This one's my favorite. It only takes a quarter turn to operate. The one-piece shutoff mechanism ensures smooth operation even after long periods without use. And then you can see how it has a built-in CPVC inlet. Okay, we're going to use this one-step CPVC cement. Apply the cement on the pipe circling around it using the cap dauber, then in the valve circling around. Then I reapply some more cement on the pipe. I insert the valve on the pipe and give it a slight twist. Holding it tight while the cement dries, I wipe off the excess cement. What I'm using is baby wipes to wipe the extra cement. If you watch my other YouTube videos, I use baby wipes a lot during my DIY projects and can't live without them. You want the pipe clean with no excess glue for the next time. Hold it for 30 seconds or it may push back out. One final wipe, let's install the next one. I again apply the cement on the pipe circling around it using the cap dauber, then in the valve circling around. Then I reapply some more cement on the pipe. I insert the valve on the pipe and give it a slight twist. While holding it tight as the cement dries, I wipe off the excess cement. I'm fast forwarding the wiping and the holding for 30 seconds to speed things up. Please remember to hit the thumbs up and consider subscribing if you're getting value out of this video. Now you see how the faucet holes are to the right of the shutoffs? That's why I pointed them in the direction I want to route the supply lines. This is exactly how the old ones were. Here's a close-up of how they came out. Notice how the left one is close to not having enough pipe for a coupling. What I should be able to do is pull the flange away from the wall, cut it off, giving me enough room to cut the pipe. And then I'll add a thinner flange to gain pipe length to glue on a coupling, then add more pipe to extend it out. Okay, the last step I like to do is to flush out the new water shutoffs before they ever get hooked up to the sink. Let me show you how. Now if the handle is pointed to the hose, it's open, and if it's pointed all the way to the right, it's closed. So I make sure they are both closed. Next I turn the water back on. My wife is on the phone with me ready to yell, "Turn it off!" if something goes wrong, so get a spotter for this step. And I like to turn the water on slowly with a sink on in the house. Now I use a deep walled bucket versus the shallow bowl for this and screw on one of the new supply lines. Then turn on the water flushing out the shutoff. Once I install the faucet, I will also turn on the water for both the hot and cold without the aerator installed, but still, personally, I always take a few minutes to flush it out now at the water shutoff. The pros use this one-stop plumber's wrench, which is 2 wrenches in one, but on CPVC pipe, I rather use a small adjustable wrench. I find it easier to apply less controlled torque. This second one had murky water come out at first, but more importantly, you're making sure there are no pieces of pipe from the deburring tool, so I suggest always to flush out your new water shutoffs. Let me know in the comments any tips you like to do. you. Now if you made it this far into the video and want to see more, you either enjoy watching home DIY videos or this is a project you're about to tackle. If that's the case, check out this fast forward replacement of my side sink's 2 water shutoffs, because the process was slightly different. Now take note how I'm using my other hand to hold the valve as I make my cut, and how compared to the first 2 we did under my wife's sink, this one has 2 90s and the water shutoff runs out and away from the back of the cabinet. So you have to be careful not to put any pressure on the pipes, but besides that, this left one was pretty straightforward. But this right one, the sink waste piping forced me to use a completely different process and set of tools. You see how I can't get my PVC cutter in here? The pipe under is completely blocking me. So I used 2 pieces of paint stirring sticks, placed them between the 2 pipes, then use a trigger clamp to keep the CPVC pipe from moving too much so I can saw it. Then I use my mini hacksaw, and I'm sawing as close to the valve as possible to leave myself as much pipe as possible to install the new valve. But as I get closer to the lower pipe, my hacksaw is bottoming out. I was so close to cutting through, I try sawing from the opposite direction. That didn't work either. I was hitting the vertical pipe. So I get my smaller hacksaw, but I only had a metal cutting blade, and it was old, but it worked. My next hurdle was my reamer. The pipe was blocking that too. So I used my deburring hand tool. Milwaukee calls it a reaming pen. You just work it in circles. Then I use some sandpaper that has a film backing, making it easy to wrap around the tip of the pipe without tearing it as I use it. And I sand real good, making sure that there's no raised ridge from cutting it. After a quick clean with a paper towel and a baby wipe, I finally install the new shutoff. You know the drill. Apply the cement, small twist, hold it in place for 30 seconds while cleaning the excess cement. This one I was less worried about it because since the pipe is going this way, I could cut it back here, put a coupling, extend the pipe to a 90, then another pipe, and then add another shutoff. And the same thing on this side, 30 years from now. So that's it guys. Hopefully after watching this video, I gave you the knowledge and confidence to DIY your project and upgrade to a high quality angle stop / water shutoff with a 1/4 turn ball valve. Please remember to hit the thumbs up if you like this video, and be sure to subscribe to watch more home DIY videos just like this one. Put any questions in the comments and maybe I can help you with your project. Click on the link on the screen to see a playlist of all my plumbing repair videos. You'll find the faucet installation video showing the faucet attached to the shutoff valves we just replaced. Also a second video how to change your water shutoffs on CPVC I did during the install of my dishwasher. Thanks for watching and keep DIYing. Bye now.